It all started on a quiet winter morning, the kind where the world feels slow and sleepy, and nothing unusual is expected to happen. But for Maya, that day turned her life upside down. For nearly 2 years, she had been living in the shadow of a rare illness, something that left doctors confused and her body weak. Endless tests, countless hospital visits, and so many medications that she'd lost count. And yet, no one had any answers. Her energy was draining fast, and hope was slipping through her fingers like sand. Friends grew distant, and even her own family started to lose faith in her recovery. But what no one knew was that her miracle wouldn't come from a hospital, a broken bar. It would come with 4 paws and a silent stare. Maya had never really been a cat person. In fact, she was mildly allergic to them. So when a small, scruffy gray cat started appearing on her porch every evening, she tried her best to ignore it. But there was something different about this cat. Its deep green eyes seemed to hold something ancient, something watching. It didn't meow or scratch at the door. It just a broken bar waited. For days. Until one night, during one of Maya's worst health episodes, she opened the door. Maybe it was the fever or the loneliness that made her do it, but the moment the cat stepped inside, something changed. That night, for the first time in months, Maya slept without pain. Not a deep sleep, but peaceful enough to dream. And in that dream, she saw the same green eyes, brighter, glowing, almost speaking to her. The next morning, she felt slightly better. Just enough to stand up without support. Just enough to notice that the cat was still there, watching her quietly from the windowsill. It became routine. Every night, the cat curled up beside her. Every morning, Maya felt a little stronger. Her skin looked less pale, her hands shook less, her breathing steadier. She didn't tell anyone at first. Who would believe that a carter, an ordinary street carter, was helping her heal? But things kept happening that she couldn't explain. Her wounds, which hadn't closed in months, began to heal. Her appetite returned. Even her voice, which had grown weak, came back with strength. Still, the doctors remained baffled. Nothing in her reports could explain her sudden improvement. The cat, who she started calling Noor, never left her side. And every time Maya tried to talk about it, something in her stopped, like Noor didn't want her to. Then one evening, something strange happened. Noor disappeared. Just like that. No warning, no signs. The house felt empty, cold. That night, Maya's symptoms came crashing back, harder than ever. It was as if the healing had been taken away, and all the questions she never dared ask were now louder than ever. Who was Noor? Where did she come from? And more importantly, a broken bar. What exactly was she healing? The real mystery was just beginning. The silence in the house after Noor vanished felt heavier than ever. Maya couldn't sleep. She lay awake, staring at the empty spot beside her bed where the cat always curled up. Her breathing grew shallow, her chest tight. It wasn't just about the return of her illness, it was the feeling that something important had been taken away. She searched the neighborhood the next morning, calling out softly, asking around, even though she knew deep down that Noor wasn't just a regular stray. The neighbors had barely noticed the cat at all. A few claimed they never saw one on her porch. One old man even said, "Cats don't stay in this area long. They sense things." That sentence stuck with her. They sense things. But what did Noor sense in her? Why did she come to her, out of all people, and why now? Maya started looking through her journals, trying to piece things together. She had been documenting her symptoms ever since her diagnosis. But when she looked closely, a strange pattern appeared. The worst days often came just before Noor arrived. And the days of sudden recovery always followed nights Noor stayed with her. She hadn't noticed it before. But now it felt clearer. Noor had appeared at her lowest, almost like she knew Maya needed her. She dug deeper, looking through old photos on her phone. One image caught her attention, a blurry at first glance, but when she zoomed in, her heart skipped a beat. In the corner of the picture, taken weeks ago from her bedroom mirror, Noor's reflection looked a broken bar different. Her eyes glowed faintly, and the shape of her body seemed slightly off. The photo had a glitchy blur, like the camera had captured something it wasn't supposed to. Maya didn't know what to make of it. She didn't believe in ghosts, or magic, or energy healing. But something was happening, something science hadn't explained. And then, as if the universe was feeding her curiosity. A package arrived at her door the next day. No return address. Inside was an old, hand-bound notebook, worn and covered in dust. On the first page, in shaky handwriting, was one line: "She only comes to the chosen, but she never stays forever." Maya stared at the book, her hands trembling. Who sent this? What did they know about Noor? And why was she being called chosen? The answers were close, but the danger was closer. Maya's hands shook as she flipped through the pages of the notebook. Each one was filled with cryptic notes, sketches of cats, and faded symbols that seemed to hum with an energy she couldn't quite place. The more she read, the more questions piled up. The notebook spoke of ancient beings, guardians who chose certain humans to heal, to guide them through their darkest hours. The cat, Noor, wasn't just a pet. She was something else, something older. But what kind of creature could heal like that, and why had she chosen Maya? As days passed, Maya's health continued to fluctuate. One moment, she'd feel like herself again, her strength returning, but the next, she'd fall into another bout of weakness. It was as though Noor's healing had left a temporary mark on her, a fragile state of balance that could break at any moment. She knew she couldn't keep going on like this. The fear of losing whatever had been helping her gnawed at her, making her restless. Her thoughts were interrupted by a call from her mother, Priya. Priya had been distant since Maya's illness had started, her own concerns about Maya's condition turning into desperate attempts to fix things with traditional remedies. But Maya could sense something else in her voice when she called this time, a mixture of worry and urgency. "Maya, I need you to come home," Priya said. "I know it's hard to believe, but there's something you don't know about your father's side of the family. It's time you learn the truth." The words sent a chill down Maya's spine. She'd never known much about her father's family. He died when she was young, leaving behind unanswered questions. What could Priya be talking about? Was it possible that her condition, the mysterious cat, and her family's past were all connected in some way? Maya's pulse quickened. She had a sinking feeling that Noor's disappearance was no accident. The cat had known something, and so did her mother. But what was the truth that Priya had been hiding all these years? The clock was ticking, and the more she uncovered, the more she feared she wasn't ready for what was coming next. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that the walls were closing in. As she packed her things to visit her mother, the weight of the notebook and its mysterious contents felt like an anchor dragging her deeper into uncertainty. Her mind raced with 1,000 questions. What was the truth her mother had been hiding? Why had Noor disappeared? And what had she meant by the chosen? She had to know. She had to understand what was happening to her before it was too late. The drive to her mother's house was agonizingly slow. Each mile felt like a lifetime, the road stretching endlessly before her. Her thoughts kept circling back to the notebook. The cat's healing, the symbols, the cryptic messages. So it was all connected, but how? The more she thought about it, the more she realized she wasn't just dealing with a physical illness. Something far deeper, far older, was at play. And Noor, a broken bar. Noor had been at the center of it all. When Maya finally arrived, Priya was waiting for her by the door, her face pale and drawn, eyes filled with a mix of fear and regret. She didn't say anything at first, just motioned for Maya to follow her into the living room. It was clear that this conversation wasn't going to be easy. "Sit down, Maya," Priya said softly, her voice trembling. "There's a story I should have told you long ago, but I couldn't. A broken bar. I thought I could protect you from it. But now a broken bar. I don't think I can anymore." Maya sat down, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do you mean, Mum? What is this about?" Priya took a deep breath, her eyes flicking to the window, as if she expected some Ionia or something to be watching. "Your father wasn't just a man. He was part of something, a broken bar, something powerful and dangerous." She paused, her voice faltering. "And so are you." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, and for the first time, Maya felt a deep, unsettling truth settle within her. She had always thought her illness was random, a cruel twist of fate. But now, she realized it was much more than that. The pieces were finally coming together, but they weren't making sense. What power had her father been connected to? And how did Noor fit into it all? Before Maya could ask more, the air in the room shifted. A sudden chill swept through, and the lights flickered. Her breath caught in her throat as she saw a shadow move across the room, as something small, yet unmistakable. No awe. But the cat was different now. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever, and something in the air felt charged, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Maya's heart raced. The final piece of the puzzle was about to fall into place, but what it revealed was far more terrifying than she could have ever imagined. Maya's breath hitched as Noor stepped closer, her glowing eyes never leaving Maya's. The cat moved with an eerie grace, her presence commanding the room in a way that felt almost unnatural. Maya's pulse quickened, and for a moment, she couldn't move, as if she was paralyzed by the sheer weight of the moment. Priya's hand trembled on the armrest of the chair beside her, her face pale, as if she was seeing something she couldn't fully comprehend. Maya broken bar, Priya whispered, barely audible. She's not just a cat. She's a broken bar. She's a guardian, but not like you think. She's been sent to guide you, but also to warn you. Maya's head spun. She wanted to speak, but her voice was lost in the chaos of her mind. What was her mother saying? A guardian? The cat wasn't just a healer, it was something far more powerful, and more dangerous. She's been sent, Priya repeated, because of your bloodline. Maya, you're not like other people. You've inherited something from your father, something ancient. And Nora, she's been watching over you, making sure you're ready for what's coming. Maya's hands clenched into fists, her body tense with the rising confusion. What do you mean, ready for what? What's coming? Before Priya could answer, the room seemed to shift. The air grew colder, thicker, as if something was pressing in from all sides. The lights flickered again, longer this time, and Maya's heart raced as Noor's eyes burned brighter, the intensity of the glow increasing with each passing second. The cat's fur stood on end, and then, without warning, she leapt toward Maya with a speed that took her breath away. Maya stumbled back, almost falling, but something caught her, something invisible, like a wave of energy that trapped around her. Her body surged with a sudden, overwhelming force, as if the very air around her was charged. Noor landed softly on the ground, her eyes still glowing, but now there was something else, something darker. Maya felt the room spinning, her vision blurring, and for the briefest moment, she saw flashes of faces, a strange, unfamiliar faces moving through her mind. They were speaking in a language she didn't understand, but their voices echoed with urgency. Then it stopped, as abruptly as it had begun. Maya gasped for air, her chest tight as if she'd just surfaced from underwater. Priya was staring at her, her face full of fear and disbelief. You saw them, didn't you? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The voices, the faces, a broken bar, that's the past catching up to you. Maya nodded slowly, her mind racing to process what had just happened. The connection, the power, the image, so it was all real. But what did it mean? What were these voices, and why were they calling to her? Before she could speak, a loud crash sounded from the back of the house. Maya jumped, her heart pounding in her chest. Something or Samionia was in the house. And whatever it wasn't friendly. Maya's instincts screamed at her to run, but she was frozen, caught between the truth her mother was telling her and the strange, unexplainable force that was now guiding her every step. The carter Nora was standing protectively in front of her, but Maya wasn't sure if it was her guardian or something far more dangerous. The air around her felt like it was about to crack open, and Maya knew that whatever was coming next, she couldn't face it alone. But the choices were narrowing, and time was running out. The crash from the back of the house was followed by silence. Maya's heart was racing as she clutched the edges of the couch, her body frozen in place. Priya's face was pale, her hands trembling as she whispered, "It's happening now." The things your father feared. Maya's thoughts swirled, trying to make sense of it all. The voices, the strange energy, Noor's inexplicable role in her life, it was all tied together, but she couldn't fully grasp it. She needed answers, and she needed them now. Noor, who had been standing protectively in front of her, suddenly darted toward the source of the noise, her body low to the ground, eyes narrowed. Maya instinctively followed, her legs shaky but determined. She found herself standing at the back door of the house, staring into the darkness outside. The house felt like it was holding its breath, the air thick with tension. Another crash. And then, from the shadows, something moved. A figure stepped into the light, but it wasn't what Maya had expected. It wasn't a burglar or some intruder. It was a man, tall, with a presence that seemed to bend the very air around him. His eyes were cold, calculating, and his skin was pale, almost unnatural. He stood still for a moment, as if waiting for something. His voice, when it came, was smooth, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. "Maya," he said, his gaze locking with hers. "I've been waiting for you." Maya's pulse quickened. "Who are you?" she demanded, stepping forward despite the dread creeping up her spine. The man smiled, a cold, empty expression. "You don't recognize me, do you? I'm your father's brother or your uncle, and I'm the one who's been pulling the strings all along." The ground seemed to shift beneath Maya's feet. Her mind reeled. Her uncle? She had never even heard of him. Priya stood behind her, her face twisted in shock, as if she had just learned something she never expected. "You were never meant to live a normal life, Maya," her uncle continued. "Your father was part of a secret order, one that controlled forces beyond your comprehension." Nora broken bar. "She's not just a guardian, she's a key to unlocking the power that's within you." The world seemed to narrow around Maya. "What do you want from me?" Her uncle's smile deepened. "Everything. The power within you. It's the last piece of the puzzle. It's the reason Nora was sent to you. She's been keeping you alive, keeping you protected from the darkness you're about to unleash. But now that you're awake, there's no stopping what's coming." Before Maya could react, Nora leapt forward, her body glowing fiercely, her fur bristling with energy. She collided with the man, knocking him back with an unexpected force. The shockwave rippled through the air, knocking Maya off her feet and sending her crashing to the ground. She scrambled to her feet, gasping for breath, as the scene unfolded before her. Nora was fighting her uncle, their powers clashing with a ferocity that shook the house. Maya could feel it now, an energy, powerful and raw, swirling around her. The same power her uncle wanted. And then, as quickly as it had started, it stopped. Nora and the man were gone, leaving only a faint, lingering glow in the air. The silence returned, and Maya stood in the wreckage, her mind reeling. Priya approached her slowly, her eyes filled with sorrow. "You don't know everything, Maya. Your father's bloodline runs deeper than you think. But it's too late now. You've awakened the power, and there's no turning back." Maya looked around, everything feeling like it was falling apart. Her father's secrets, her uncle's betrayal, Nora's true nature. It was all so much. But one thing was clear, this was just the beginning. The power she had unlocked was too dangerous, and now, there was no way to contain it. As she turned to look at the place where Nora had stood, her eyes widened. The cat's glowing green eyes appeared again, watching her from the shadows. And then, just as quickly as Nora had come into her life, she was gone once more, leaving Maya with only one question: what now? Maya stood there in the stillness, her mind whirling as she tried to process everything that had just happened. Her uncle's cryptic words echoed in her head, "The power within you." What power? And why had it been awakened now? Nora's sudden disappearance only added to the mystery, leaving Maya with more questions than answers. But there was something else, something deeper, that settled into her heart in that moment, a sense of finality. The truth had been revealed, but it wasn't a truth she could easily escape from. Priya stood next to her, her face drawn with worry, but there was also something else he regret. "Perhaps I should have told you sooner," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your father never wanted this life for you. He thought you could be free of it. But now, there's no going back." Maya nodded slowly, her mind racing. The power that had been hidden in her bloodline, the forces her uncle had spoken of, it all seemed so overwhelming. But one thing was clear, she couldn't keep running from it. Whatever this power was, it was hers to control. It always had been. "I don't know what's coming next, Mom," Maya said, her voice steady but unsure. "But I'm not afraid anymore. I have to face it. I have to understand what it means." Priya looked at her daughter, her eyes filled with a mix of pride and sorrow. "You're stronger than I ever realized," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I never wanted you to be dragged into this world, but you're part of it now. And I'll help you, every step of the way." Maya turned to look out the window, the first rays of dawn breaking through the darkness. The house was still, the chaos of the night seeming like a distant memory. but the weight of her new reality was heavy on her shoulders. Nor might have disappeared, but Maya knew that wasn't the end of their connection. The cat had been a guide, but Maya was now the one who had to walk her own path. With a deep breath, Maya walked toward the door, feeling a strange sense of purpose in her step. The world outside was waiting, but now, she was ready for it. She had uncovered the truth about her father's legacy, her uncle's betrayal, and the power that flowed within her, but she knew there was more to discover. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy. It would be full of challenges, questions, and perhaps even more mysteries. But whatever came next, she was no longer afraid. She had the strength to face it. And in the distance, as if watching over her, the faintest glimmer of green eyes flickered through the shadows. Nor, waiting silently, ready for the next chapter to begin.